They came to us in January, in February, during the budget presentation. And he again was trumpeting and going on about this bond for $200 million and it being oversubscribed.
Yes.
Now, when you hear that a bond for 200 million US dollars, 540 million EC dollars is oversubscribed. Now, in the ordinary use of that term, it means that you have more people putting up more money than is actually required. So you're trying to raise 200 million, but you have so many people that you have more than you actually need. Now, for Antiguans, a lot of people felt, well, okay, this will be an opportunity to address some of the burning issues. And some people still took the Prime Minister at his word. Mr. Weston in Parliament, he actually said in mid-February that they would have the money here by the end of February. Again, he was boasting and going on that by the end of February, this money is going to be here. They raised the hopes of so many only to be dashed, where they said they were going to use money to pay off the Jolly Beach workers. They were going to use money to invest in Liat. They were already spending the money before they even had it. And I thought it was just a matter of time before the money would arrive. But now we're hearing that the person oversubscribed. Now, how do you have oversubscription with one investor only? So the whole thing is a comedy. They apparently had spoken to someone who promised that he would make available 200 million US dollars or 540 million EC dollars, and that it would be available for the government of Antigua and Barbuda to use. I think it was a bond over a 10-year period.
Yes.
The interest rate, I believe, was either 4.5 or 5%, thereabouts. And again, you know, they were speaking so confidently about this thing, and now they're saying they're withdrawing it. Withdrawing it? $540 million, 50% of your national budget,
Yep.
a significant part of your GDP. You're saying?
So what does that mean for the economy when we were expecting that to come in?
Well, I suppose everybody thought this was going to be a boost to the economy, because you're going to be pumping money into the economy. There were some concerns. I certainly had concerns with respect to the terms going forward, because with the interest rate over 10 years, I was able to show how much we'd be paying in interest. But what I think happened, this is what I think happened, that someone indicated to them that this is what they were thinking of doing. And the person then had to do some due diligence on the management of the economy of Antigua and Barbuda. Now, any serious investor who is going to put up 200 million US dollars or 540 million EC dollars, one of the first things they're going to do, they're going to read reports, because they want to know if this country will have the ability and the capacity to repay the borrowed money. They're going to go to some of the international institutions and look for the reports. Now, when they go to the IMF for an IMF report, because the IMF does an Article 4 consultation on every country,
Yes.
United States of America, Antigua, all countries. When they do that, they will realize that Antigua has failed to publish the IMF report for the last several years. So obviously that will raise red flags. I mean, why is the government of Antigua and Barbuda hiding from prospective investors and from its people the facts of the economy? Why is it that they want to put out their own version of events, but they do not want to put out a version based on an objective assessment by an international body? I believe that would have been one of the areas that they would have looked at.
Yeah.
I believe also they would want to see what is your credit record. Are you paying your current debts? And they will realize that we are in a very, very bad way. The debts that we had negotiated with the Paris Club, whereby there were terms for the repayment, and these, by the way, were ALP debts, and I want that to be very clear. When we negotiated with the Paris Club, meaning Japan, Brazil, France, the Netherlands, UK, and the USA. Those countries. We were able to get very favorable terms from them, and it was on the basis that Antigua was willing to become a nation that would honor its commitments. Because let's face it, we live in a world that what goes around comes around. If you're going to borrow from people and you don't pay back, which is what they did, and for us to get a good relationship back with Japan, for us to get a good relationship back with places like Brazil, where we could begin to improve our relationship with them, we had to address the question of outstanding loans going back in some cases over 20 years. Because let's face it, when we came into office, the loan stock was 3.2 billion, and of that, 1.8 billion was in arrears. And I want that, again, that to be very clear.
Repeat.
You see, I hear people talking about they came into government as the Labour Party, and they met arrears of 2 million and 5 million, and they're complaining. And they really had a shock. I heard Minister Nicholas saying, and when we came in, and we found this, and we found that, my approach to them would be relaxed, take it easy. we have it under control. For them, of course, they're frightened,
yes.
Because they've never had to manage anything before. So they were really frightened. But the point I'm making is this: when we came in, the debt stock was 3.2 billion, and arrears out of that was 1.8 billion. Yeah. So almost $2 billion in arrears, including all those countries that I've mentioned. So what would have happened now is that having put those things on a proper footing in 2010, when we went to Paris and we negotiated terms for the repayment of those loans over a period of time,
yes.
This administration, they've stopped paying them. So they're no longer paying them. So when these people or this person is looking to see, what is the record? If I lend these people 200 million euros, can they pay me back? And then he starts to flick through and he realizes that since they have come in, they have failed to pay the debts that we promised to pay. I have no doubt that that person, because the information I have, I'm not like what Gaston Brown is telling the nation. What I have heard is that the person changed his mind. The person changed his mind because obviously he felt this was a big ask and a big risk, and he wasn't prepared to take it with this administration. And so it's a comedy of errors. And it keeps on going on and on and on as far as this government is concerned. They do nothing right. Almost everything they do, it is plagued and marked by incompetence. And I use that word very clearly, very directly, and very deliberately. Incompetence. How else do you account for the fact that you come and boast to the country that you have a bond, which is a loan over a period of time, for 200 million US dollars. You already say how you're going to spend it, how you're going to allocate it, this is what you're going to do, etc. And then it turns out that the person changed their mind.
But we did not know about it. If the question wasn't asked in Parliament, we would be in the dark up to
that's
now.
the other thing. And then they're the ones who are talking about transparency and good governance. But if that question had not been asked, I think it was it Honorable Trevor Walker?
Trevor Walker, yes.
If Trevor Walker had not asked that question, we would never have known. We would have been in the dark. And look at the answer. I never would have expected that answer. That the person, after lying to the country and talking about oversubscribed, you now hear the person is no longer going forward and they're withdrawing. It's nothing but a comedy of incompetence.